The story begins with a 19-year-old boy named Malik, who was sentenced to a full 6 years and brought to a huge and dangerous prison in France. The walls of this prison were very tall and extremely cold, and here, Malik had neither a friend nor anyone of his own. Malik could not even read or write properly, and the old scars on his face already told the story of his entire difficult life. The prison staff searched him thoroughly, made him remove his clothes, and even took away the little money he had hidden. Now, this helpless boy had nothing left except a new pair of shoes. As soon as Malik reached the open yard of the prison, he immediately understood that the atmosphere here was completely different from the outside world. Inside this prison, mainly two big groups ruled. On one side was the gang of Corsican people, who, even though smaller in number, kept every guard and jailer in their fist. On the other side was a very large crowd of Muslim prisoners, who, despite being far greater in number, were completely powerless, because real power always remained in the hands of the Corsicans. Malik was a completely unknown face to both these groups. So, on the very first day, some prisoners attacked him and even snatched away his new shoes. Malik fought back with all he had, but being alone, he was badly beaten. In those first few days, Malik silently endured hunger and humiliation, and at night, lying alone in his cell, he kept wondering whether he would even come out of this hell alive. In this same prison, the leader of the Corsicans was Billy, an old but extremely dangerous man who controlled the entire prison with his gestures, and at whose single voice even the toughest men would tremble. Even the jailers did not dare open their mouths in front of him, because it was this old man who actually ran the real government inside. Around that time, a new Muslim prisoner named Imran arrived in the prison, who was a witness in a very big case in the outside world, and within a few days he was to go to court and testify against a member of the Corsican gang. Billy did not want, under any circumstances, for this witness to survive, but the real problem was that Imran lived in the Muslim section, and Billy's own men could not easily reach him there. It was right here that this old leader's eye fell on the new and weak-looking Malik. Billy called Malik to him and placed a condition in front of him that made the ground slip from under Malik's feet the moment he heard it. The old man said plainly that either he kill Imran or be ready for his own death. Malik was terribly frightened because he had never taken anyone's life before. So he tried, somehow, to get word to a senior prison official in order to escape this trap. But the Corsicans got wind of this attempt, and they put a plastic bag over Malik's head, choking him and warning him that in this prison, only their orders run. Frightened, Malik played one last card and deliberately joined in beating another prisoner so that he would be punished with solitary confinement and would not have to do this task. But this trick also did not work, because Billy caught him and beat him very badly. Now Malik had no other way left except to carry out this terrifying task. The Corsicans explained to him that he would hide a sharp blade inside his mouth, between his cheek and teeth, and then, becoming Imran's friend, win his trust, and at the right moment, finish him off. Malik practiced hiding this blade in his mouth many times alone in his cell, but again and again the sharp blade cut his own tongue and cheek, filling his mouth with blood. For this innocent-looking boy, all of this felt like a terrible nightmare, but to save his own life, he had to do all of it. Finally, that unfortunate day arrived when Malik was sent to Imran's cell. Imran thought that this simple-looking boy had truly come to be his friend, so he spoke to Malik very affectionately, and when he learned that Malik did not even know how to read or write, he even promised to give him books and teach him. Imran also said something kind to him, that in life one should always try to grow a little wiser and move forward. But at that moment, something else entirely was brewing in Malik's heart, and as soon as he got the right chance, he pulled out that hidden blade from his mouth and struck Imran. This act turned out to be extremely frightening and extremely brutal, and in the scuffle, Malik himself was badly wounded. But he completed his task all the same. Imran breathed his last, writhing on the floor, and Malik very carefully placed that blade in dead Imran's hand, and avoiding the blood scattered on the floor, went to the bathroom and washed away all traces of blood from his shirt. This one killing changed the entire course of Malik's life from its roots, because now he had come under the protection of the Corsican gang. Billy sent him full packs of cigarettes to signal that he was now under their protection, but the price of this protection turned out to be very heavy. The Corsicans did not give Malik even a little respect. They treated him like their servant. They considered him a fool and kept mocking him all the time. On the other side, the rest of the Muslim prisoners in the prison began to see him as a traitor, a person who licked the boots of the Corsicans. Poor Malik became isolated on both sides, belonging fully to neither. But the real trouble began now, because the very Imran whom Malik had killed with his own hands returned into his life like a shadow. In the silence of the night, alone in his cell, Malik would often clearly see that same Imran with those same deep marks of the blade on his throat. But the strange thing was that this very shadow helped him understand every move ahead. Malik slowly learned to turn this fear into his own strength. truth, and it was from here that the real player inside him began to awaken. Imran's last words left a deep mark on Malik's heart, and he decided within himself that he would no longer remain anyone's slave, but would become something. First, he began learning to read and write, and during this time, he met another Muslim prisoner in the prison named Rayhan. Rayhan was an educated and very wise man who taught Malik to recognize letters and put words together, and slowly, the two became very close friends. Malik also started attending the classes offered in the prison. He began learning every small and big thing that could be useful to him later. The boy who once could not even write his own name now started turning the pages of books, and Rayhan became not just his teacher, but also his only true friend in this dark world. The two would sit and talk for hours, and for the first time, Malik felt as though there was someone in this prison who considered him a human being. But the cleverest and most important thing Malik did was that he quietly began learning the Corsican's own language, and no one in the entire prison found out about this. Billy and his men would stand right in front of Malik and openly make big plans in their own language, thinking that this fool would not understand anything anyway. But they had no idea that Malik now understood every single word of theirs quite well. He would stand quietly in a corner and listen to all their secrets, understanding every detail of their business. Malik now understood well that in this jungle-like world, there was only one way to survive and rise. Keep your enemy's weaknesses and secrets safe with yourself. Then one day, a huge change came inside the prison, when the outside government issued an order that most of the Corsican prisoners be removed from this prison and sent to other prisons closer to their own regions. One by one, many of Billy's old and most trusted men left the prison, and because of this, that old leader, who was once so powerful, gradually became isolated. He had fewer and fewer people left to carry out his work, and his grip began to weaken. So, out of compulsion, Billy had no choice but to trust Malik. This old man made that Arab boy his own eyes and ears. And now, Malik brought every piece of news to Billy inside the prison, kept watch on every movement, and personally handled all his small and big tasks. As Malik's behavior remained good, the prison officials began allowing him to go outside for a few hours, which was called a short leave. But every time Malik went outside, Billy would always hand him some illegal task, because the old man's thinking was that he would keep running his entire business from outside through this very boy while sitting inside the prison. But it was exactly here that Malik showed his real cleverness, because when he went outside, he did not only handle Billy's work but also quietly began setting up his own business. Going outside, he would finish an entire day's work in just a few hours, and whenever he returned, his business and the money in his pocket had always grown. This was an extremely dangerous double game, in which even a small slip could cost him his life. But Malik was now ready to take every risk. On one side, he remained the loyal servant of the old leader, while outside the prison, he kept slowly growing his own business. Helping him in this new outside work was a prisoner named Sam, who was quite an old hand at selling drugs, and whom people fondly called the Gypsy. Malik teamed up with Sam and got his feet firmly planted in the drug business, and his friend Rayhan also became a necessary part of this work. Sometime later, Rayhan was struck by a dangerous illness, because of which he got an early release from prison. And now Malik had a trustworthy man outside who could handle the entire business for him. Soon, the three of them together got their feet firmly planted in the drug trade, but danger lurked at every step in this business. One day, another smuggler named Latif kidnapped Rayhan and took him into his custody, and when this bad news reached Malik, he became furious inside. But instead of getting scared or panicking, he immediately used his sharp mind and found out that a relative of that Latif was locked up in his own prison. He had that relative's entire family kidnapped and sent a direct threatening message that if even a hair on Rayhan's head was harmed, he would not leave anyone alive. In the face of this strong move, Latif finally had to bow down, and he released Rayhan safely. This made it clear that Malik was no longer a scared, timid boy, but had become a clever and sharp player. But all these things could not stay hidden from Billy for long. One day, that old leader found out that Malik indeed did his work when he went outside, but alongside it, he was also building his own business, and this did not sit well with him at all. So, filled with anger, Billy gave Malik an extremely painful punishment. He pressed a spoon into Malik's eye with full force, which left one of his eyes weak for a long time. This was Billy's own way of reminding him who the real master still was. But Malik swallowed even this terrible pain within himself, said nothing on the surface, but his hatred for this old man grew even deeper inside his heart. After this came the major turning point in the story that truly gave Malik a whole new identity. Actually, a very big deal of Billy's was underway with an Italian gang called the Link Harris. And to complete this deal, Billy decided to send Malik to Italy so that he could meet a special man named Latrice there. In fact, that man was also an Arab, which is perhaps why why Billy chose Malik. Interestingly, Billy traveled on an airplane for the first time in his life. Watching the clouds from the window and enjoying the free food served on the plane, he was behaving exactly like a child. But as soon as he reached Marseille, things turned extremely dangerous. Actually, Latrice's heart was filled with intense hatred for the Corsicans, especially because of Imran's killing. So as soon as he learned that Billy had sent Malik, he held him at gunpoint, and his life was put directly in danger. It seemed as though Malik was about to die. But then, seeing a sign on the road, he remembered a dream he had seen the previous night, in which many deer were running. He said straight away to slow the car down, that a deer was about to hit them ahead, but everyone thought he was just talking nonsense to save himself. Then suddenly, a deer appeared on the road, and the car crashed straight into it. This one unexpected event shook everyone present there. Latrice could not believe his own eyes, that this boy had already told them about the coming event beforehand, and he came to believe that Malik had the hand of God upon him. Although Malik also made it completely clear to Latrice that it was he himself who had actually killed Imran. Still, Latrice was so impressed by his ability and his courage that he decided that from now on, he would do business not with the old Billy, but directly with this young man. This was a very big success for Malik, because now, in the real world outside as well, his own strong identity began to form. People started believing that there was some special power within him. After this incident, Malik's influence also began to grow among the Muslim prisoners in the jail, and the very people who had once rejected him, calling him a traitor, now began to respect him and were ready to follow him. On one side, the strength of the Corsican gang kept declining continuously, while on the other side, Malik's power kept growing with every passing day. This was the same boy who was once beaten by everyone over his shoes, but now he was becoming the leader of a large part of the prison. Meanwhile, Billy began to feel that there was a traitor hidden within his own gang, someone who was passing on all his information outside. Actually, his main right-hand man handling his work outside the prison, Jackie, had secretly joined hands with the Italians, and as soon as Billy got wind of this, he became furious. He assigned Malik a very big and extremely dangerous task, ordering him to go outside and finish off this very Jackie. Actually, a devilish plan was running through Billy's mind. He believed that this boy would not have the guts to kill Jackie, and even if he did manage to kill him, he would lose his own life in the process. This way, two birds would be killed with one stone. But Malik was no longer an inexperienced player. He made a plan with his friend Rehan. Instead of directly attacking Jackie, they first killed his guards and then captured Jackie himself. But instead of killing him, they held a gun to his neck and told him that the order to kill him had actually been given by Billy, the leader of his own gang. After telling him this, they left Jackie alive in the middle of the city, because Malik knew very well that now a terrible war would break out between these two big Corsican leaders, and in this very mutual fight, these two powerful men would end up finishing each other off, automatically clearing Malik's path. Malik's deep strategy worked out exactly right, because this one spark of a lie ignited internal conflict and a bloody war within the Corsican gang. The gang that once ruled the entire prison fearlessly now began drawing swords against its own people, and Billy, who was once the biggest power in this prison, now found himself surrounded from all sides. His own men were, one by one, either killed or abandoned him. He was left a broken, lonely, and helpless old man, whom no one even bothered to look at anymore. Time snatched away this arrogant old man's entire kingdom in one stroke, and this was the direct result of the very arrogance and tyranny with which he had once trampled this entire prison underfoot. During the time this entire war reached its peak, conditions inside the prison also became completely uncontrollable, and amid chaos and violence on all sides, every group clashed with one another to protect its own turf. But amid all this noise and commotion, Malik remained completely calm, because he knew well that when two elephants fight each other, the real benefit always goes to the one standing on the side and watching. When the dust finally settled, the entire map of the prison had changed, because the old leaders had either been wiped out or pushed aside, and now this very young man had quietly come to sit on their vacated seat. Malik achieved this feat not with any gun, but purely through his cool mind and his firm patience. Amid all these events, the condition of Malik's closest friend, Rehan, worsened a great deal, because his dangerous illness returned once again. Rehan made the extremely difficult decision not to continue his treatment any further, and now he had only a few months left. Before dying, this true friend took one last promise from Malik, that after he was gone from this world, Malik would fully take care of his wife and his little son, and Malik gave his dear friend this firm promise, and it was this very bond that kept the humanity inside Malik alive. Finally, the day of Malik's release arrived, because his entire sentence had come to an end, and the prison staff prepared all the papers to release him. For a moment, Malik remembered that very first day, when he had been brought into this same prison 6 years ago, scared, completely alone, and empty-handed. But today, the man stepping outside had changed completely from within. When he stepped out of the prison, he saw in front of him his late friend Rehan's wife and son, who were already waiting for him there. Malik met them joyfully, and then the three of them walked forward together. But the story did not end just there. As these people moved ahead, a long convoy of many cars slowly began following behind them, and all these cars belonged to Malik's own people. He was no longer that timid, weak boy, but had become a king of the criminal world. If you like the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.